In the quiet riverside village of Okunala, where the air always smelled faintly of palm wine and wet earth, stood a tree older than memory. The villagers called it the Mother of Roots. No one knew when it first grew there. Elders said it was already towering above the land when their ancestors arrived. Its trunk was enormous, so wide that 20 men holding hands could not encircle it. Its bark looked like folded skin, ancient and patient, and its roots stretched across the ground like giant snakes sleeping beneath the soil. People avoided the tree at night. Not because they saw spirits, at least that was not what they admitted, but because the wind never touched the leaves, yet the branches still moved. And sometimes, if you stood close enough, you could hear whispers. In that village lived a young woman named Adise. Adise was not like the others. While most girls her age learned early to obey traditions, Adise questioned everything. She asked elders why the tree could not be cut, why no one farmed near it, why animals avoided its shadow at noon. The answers were always the same. Some questions are doors better left closed. But Adise had spent her life opening doors. She was also unlucky in love. 3 engagements had ended mysteriously. One man fell ill suddenly. Another disappeared during a journey. The third ran away the night before their introduction ceremony, claiming he had seen something standing beside Adise while she slept. Something tall. Something with branches. The village began to whisper.
Come close.
Maybe the spirits have chosen her. Adise laughed it off. Until the dream started. Every night she dreamed of the tree. But in the dream, it wasn't just a tree. It breathed. Its roots moved slowly through the ground like veins. Its branches stretched toward the moon, and a deep voice echoed from within the trunk. Not loud. Not frightening. Just ancient. Come closer. At first, Adise ignored the dreams, but they returned every night. Stranger still, each morning she woke up with dirt on her feet, as if she had walked somewhere in her sleep. One evening, the village chief summoned Adise. The elders sat in a circle around a small fire. Their faces were heavy with concern. Finally, the oldest among them spoke. We should have told you the truth long ago. Adise crossed her arms. About the tree. The elder nodded slowly. About your family. Silence fell like a heavy cloth. Then the story began. Many generations ago, during a terrible drought, the village was dying. Crops failed, rivers dried, children starved. Desperate, the ancestors sought help from the spirit that lived within the great tree. The spirit agreed to save the village, but it demanded something in return. A bride, not just once, every few generations. From the same bloodline. Adise's bloodline. Adise laughed at first, but no one else did. The next morning, Adise discovered something that made her laughter stop. A mark had appeared on her wrist. It looked like a vine curling around her skin. And every day it grew longer. Like roots. The elders tried everything to stop it. Prayers, herbal rituals, sacrifices. Nothing worked. Animals began dying near the tree. The river started drying again. Storms avoided the village. Finally, the chief made the decision the village feared. The wedding would happen, but it would not be like any wedding anyone had ever seen. The ceremony took place under a full moon. The entire village gathered around the ancient tree. Drums echoed slowly into the night. Adise wore a white cloth, her face calm, but her eyes burned with anger. I will not belong to a tree, she whispered to herself. The elder began the ritual. As the chants grew louder, something impossible happened. The ground trembled. The roots of the tree began to move. Slowly, deliberately, like something waking up after centuries. Gasps filled the air. Then the trunk split open. And inside it was not wood. It was darkness, deep and endless. And from within that darkness stepped a man. He looked human. Tall, calm, eyes like deep forest shadows. But his skin had patterns like bark, and when he moved, the leaves above the tree rustled, even though there was no wind. The villagers fell to their knees. The spirit had taken form. He walked directly to Adise. "You have been running from me," he said gently. Adise lifted her chin. "I am not yours." The spirit smiled faintly. "You already are." But here was the twist no one expected. Adise was not afraid anymore. Because she had already discovered something the elders didn't know. Weeks before the ceremony, she had returned secretly to the tree. She had touched its bark, and when she did, the tree showed her memories, not just of the village, but of itself. And what she discovered changed everything. The spirit had never asked for brides. The ancestors had misunderstood the bargain. Or worse, they had lied. The spirit was not demanding marriage. It was demanding a guardian. Someone from the bloodline who could hear it. Someone who could protect the forest. But centuries ago, the elders twisted the story into a ritual of fear. Adise realized something shocking. She wasn't being chosen as a sacrifice. She was being chosen as an equal. Just as Adise was about to speak, chaos erupted. One of the elders pulled out a hidden blade. He shouted, "Kill the spirit, break the curse forever." The villagers gasped. But it was too late. Several men attacked the spirit. And that was the moment the village learned the true power of the ancient tree. The forest woke up. Roots burst from the ground. Branches twisted violently. The earth shook. But the spirit did not fight. Instead, he turned to Adise. "Now you must choose." Adise realized something terrifying. If the spirit died, the forest would die. If the forest died, the land would turn to dust. The river would vanish. The village would disappear within years. She had seconds to decide. And she did something no one expected. She stepped forward and took the spirit's hand. "I accept the marriage." The moment she said those words, the mark on her arm spread like lightning. The tree glowed. And Adise began to change. Not into a tree, but into something else. Something between human and spirit. The unexpected ending. The storm stopped instantly. The roots retreated. The attackers froze in fear. And Adise turned toward the village. But her eyes were different now. Ancient, wise, and slightly dangerous. "You were never protecting the village," she said calmly to the elders. "You were controlling it." The wind rose. And suddenly the ground beneath the chief cracked. Roots wrapped around his feet. The tree had chosen its true queen. And Adise had no intention of being a silent bride. Years later, the village changed. No more forced traditions. No more secrets. The forest flourished. The river returned stronger than ever. Travelers spoke of a mysterious woman who sometimes appeared near the ancient tree. A woman who could command roots. A woman who never aged. Some said she married a spirit. Others said she became one. But deep in the forest, where the oldest roots still breathe, villagers know the truth. Adise did marry the ancient tree. But not as a victim. As its ruler. And sometimes on quiet nights, the tree still whispers. Not in loneliness, but in conversation.